This one's for the YouTube. We're just gonna break it down real quick. I'll turn down this music just a little bit. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna go over all the stuff in this update that's good and bad that we've gone over so far. Here we go. First and foremost, new Necromech, what you're looking at right here. New Necromech sucks. Landslide does pitiful damage. Even when it's like, you know, it's buggy, but it's a test server, so I'm going to give them a total pass on it being buggy. That's super whatever. Don't care the landslide is, well, whatever the sword ends up being called is buggy. It is very, very low damage. This third ability, where it pushes enemies together, absolutely fucking useless. This shield, I'm not even actually 100% sure that it's working, but it seems to make me harder to kill. This pick up and throw guys thing, the claw, where you pick up dudes and you can throw them, it's fun, but there's not really any purpose to it besides that. So this kit is not cohesive. This Necromech looks really fucking dope. This design is great. I love this design. New Necromech gun, while we're here, whatever this grenade launcher ends up being called, seems good. Like, if you want basically, if you want to take the Mausolon and the Corteg and then split the difference, you basically get this new grenade launcher, and that's totally fine. It seems perfectly serviceable and good for a number of people. So there's that. Like I said, this arc melee weapon does pitiful damage. Absolutely hilariously low. Moving on, and I'm back. Moving on, weapon stuff. In terms of primaries, both of the kit gun types kind of disappointed me. They were pretty whatever. We have the Sporothix, which is kind of a cool AoE sniper rifle. Seems like if you're using Larva or something, you might actually be able to find a use for this. I like its design. It seems potentially interesting. Maybe you can do some Avenger shenanigans because it's got a 3x crit chance multiplier and a 1% crit chance. Maybe you can do a thing. Seems cool. In addition to that, there is also the Bubonico, which is a shotgun/mortar weapon. This weapon also seems cool. It seems like it's like strong. It has infinite ammo. Its mortar mode seems good. It's got a high crit focus on its primary fire and tons of status on its secondary fire. Its primary fire has toxin built in. Its secondary fire has viral built in, which seems great. So that stuff's good. In terms of secondaries, once again, the new infested kit guns, their secondary version seems pretty whatever. They didn't really seem great or like that crazy. Of the two of them, this head seems like the one that's like kind of fun. Outside of that, we have one new secondary in here, which is, or one other new secondary, which is the Catabalist. This seems like probably the best gun in the new update. This thing reloads and it throws a grenade, which does significant damage and a pretty good AoE, and its primary fire builds a absolute metric fuck ton of status. Also, I missed the bow. Thank you, chat. There's also the new Ceranos. New Ceranos, this links all the enemies together whenever you shoot it into an area, which seems pretty good. However, as you might expect, you cannot use, on this, you cannot use the split flights mod, because it would be good on this weapon, so you're not allowed to use the split flights mod on the Proboscis Ceranos because it would be good, so you're only allowed to use split chamber, so please keep that in mind. Don't get excited for that. And then in terms of melee weapons, we have the Pulmonars, which stat-wise, like, it's nunchucks. Nunchucks have good stances. This seems like it's going to work out. Seems good. And then we have the Arum Spinosa, which is another set of Warfans, and based on its stats and such, I would really instead advise you just to get the other Warfan that we just got, but because the new stance that we're supposed to be getting in this update is not on the test server, maybe the Aurum will be surprising, but probably just stick to the Quasas because this has the stats that you're probably going to want from a Warfan weapon. Of that, of the like new weapons and stuff, it's pretty much 50-50. It's 5 and 5 if you count the kit guns as 2 weapons each. For like weapons that seem good and that will have like a cool place or are like unique and fun, and weapons that are kind of whatever is the thing there. So moving on to like the just general Warframe impression stuff. Okay. So Revenant's, okay, we're going to go through all the augments first. So Revenant's augment for his one, it's a thing that you could use, but I don't know why you would use it. Because like you just don't need the damage and it's like clunky and not necessary. For Garuda, the augment for her 4 that makes it an AoE, that starts at 7 meters. 7 meters is too few. I would consider using it if it was like 15 meters, because it might be kind of a worthwhile trade-off, but as it stands right now, there's no way I would add it into my Garuda build because it literally takes a mod slot. So that's not worthwhile. For Wisp, Wisp's new augment for her Breach Surge is whenever you teleport to reservoirs, you get sniper rifle damage. Or sniper rifle crit chance, which is effectively damage. So that's fine. And like maybe you could use it for Eidolons or something, but also like it's kind of too specific. If it was just all primary weapons or just like all guns and not melee or something, if it was less restrictive, I could see it being way more useful. Because it's only snipers, that's a lot of specific things that need to line up for you to want to use it, but like it works. And then we have Gauss. Gauss's one augment to vacuum stuff up actually I think offers him a kind of cool, unique playstyle where he slams into a wall, all the enemies get sucked into the wall, and then you either melee your way out of this giant pile of enemies or use an AoE weapon to blow your way out of that huge pile of enemies. That stuff seems pretty fun. Hilariously, Gauss directly outclasses the Warframe that needed help with this exact specific thing, which is what we're going to talk about next, which is the Warframes that are just getting general changes. Warframes that are getting just general changes. Zephyr. Zephyr, basically, her 4 will stay in place now, but whenever you cast your 4, it still tries to, like, drop itself onto enemies. So you have a bunch of disparate tornadoes that don't move, that aren't doing any synergy. You can't just cast them all in one place and then move all the enemies into the tornadoes with your 2, because your 2 doesn't have enough pull on it. So it's pretty wild that like that stuff just really didn't line up in a way that makes any sense to do. So that's really unfortunate. Like the functionality on her 4 is like moving in the right direction, but it's just not there. And then on the bright side of that, we have Ash. Ash's 4 now instantly puts 3 markers on any enemy you look at while you're in your 4. This seems like a net positive just altogether. The energy cost didn't seem insane or anything like that. Seemed good, a definite improvement for Bladestorm. I still wish that you could just go into your 4, and then as you're looking at enemies, the clones just immediately start attacking all the enemies. But it's a market improvement for Ash in general, but maybe not like the full breadth of what Ash would probably want. And then just like lightning round mode, Atlas, his 2 deals damage to enemies that shoot it. That's fucking completely useless. It changes absolutely nothing. Like super garbage. And then the change for Chroma is that you can switch elements on the fly, but his 1 doesn't do decent damage. So basically all this really ends up meaning is that you can switch between fire and ice, because electric and toxin damages for his 2 buff didn't get better, so you're using fire or ice pretty much 100% of the time. So hooray, it's technically an upgrade for Chroma, but also like it's kind of just more UI on the screen. You're pretty much going to play Chroma the exact same way that you did before. And then let's see here, what am I forgetting? I am forgetting, there's a note over here somewhere. Wisp, we talked about Wisp. There is a note that I made here. No, we did. Ash, Zephyr, Atlas. Oh, yeah, Necros. Yeah, Necros' Soul Punch thing fucking sucks. I totally forgot we even went over that change. Absolutely terrible. Completely fucking useless. No one cares. I don't know if anyone will ever remember that this is a thing. Give it 3 days after the update launches, and everyone will have forgot that Necros' 1 has this functionality. It's absolutely fucking useless. For Nidus's 2... huge improvement for Nidus. I know Nidus did not necessarily need a huge improvement, just like Gauss. But for Nidus, any enemy that is in his 2 and dies has a chance to give him a stack. In my testing with my just general use Nidus build, that worked really, really well. The exact percentage that it is not like forward facing in the UI for the test server. Seemed super good, though. I was really happy with how Nidus panned out. So he's going to be a lot better. It's not going to feel like kill stealing a lot of times in your parties whenever you are larvaing up enemies. So that's fantastic for the playability of Nidus in parties. Let's see here. What else? Yeah, so backing out of Fortuna, we can look at Deimos stuff real quick. So basically, the general rundown for Deimos stuff is that whenever you go onto Deimos, we'll just load into Cambion real quick. Whenever you go onto Deimos, there is going to be the vault, like you are used to doing. And then after you do the vault, there is another bounty that is going to allow you to do a bounty inside of that vault. A lot of the mission types are the same as the open world mission types, like activate this thing and then grab all the little spores that pop out, or just like, you know, hit this tumor node and then get all the nodes that are keeping it safe and then blow it up and stuff like that. There are some new unique objectives in there, like one is a big sniffing out juggernaut thing. That is honestly probably going to get old really fast because it's just mobile defense, except for the timer's not visible on screen, so that's kind of whatever. And then just to show,
You are here to assist.
it is like this is house cleaning, so you click this, you have to do the isolation vault first before you can do this, which brings me to the reward from this that we have seen so far, which is these residuals and theorems. These residuals and theorems are absolutely fucking terrible.
I can't say
Just
I'm
to
ready.
show them off really quickly, they are 2 sets of arcanes, or they are 6 sets of arcanes total. 3 of them are for kit guns, and 3 of them are for warframes. It is absolutely dreadful. They do essentially nothing. So they're both farmed from there. So if we go in here and look at this, these are the theorems. So we have all these ones. I got 4 Demosynths from like the little bit of went around that I did. If we look at the effect that's in here, I'll just move myself over. If we look at the effect that's in here, the maxed effect of this, which please keep in mind, is 21 of these arcanes that you'll have collected. Standing in a zone created by a residual arcane creates a globe that orbits the player every 2 seconds. The globes will strike the nearest enemy within 15 meters, dealing 100 damage, increasing their vulnerability to the globe's damage type by 20 seconds for 6 seconds. Globes will persist for 8 seconds upon leaving the zone. Okay. That's a lot of text to say that this does nothing. So what happens is if you use the other arcanes from the kit guns, you get this effect. And to explain what that means, we're going to switch to a kit gun real quick like. We're going to go right in here. So on this kit gun, we have all of these residuals, and basically they're all identical except for their different elements, which then becomes the element of the theorem that you equip or whatever. Basically, because of the way these are distributed in terms of damage, heat has the second highest damage, and the highest damage one is electricity. So if you're planning on using one of these, which you shouldn't be, 80 damage heat is definitely the best one by far because it's the best damage type with the second highest damage. So you're definitely using this one. And whenever you have maxed out this arcane, which is only a rank 3, so you need 10 of them on kit gun kill. That's right, not shot, not headshot, like not anything that you could like reliably activate. On kill with your kit gun, it's only a meager 20% chance to grow cysts on the corpse, which by the way means that if you're using a kit gun that explodes, a la all of the good ones, that corpse can just fly away into the distance. For 12 seconds, those cysts will explode for 80 heat damage in a 10-meter area and apply heat damage type to Theorem Arcanes. So these don't proc heat all the time on the enemies around these corpses. They just do 80 heat damage in 10 meters with some little explosions. It's not like they're proccing a ton of heat or something like that. So there's that. So that's what you get if you get 10 of this arcane. You get 80 damage, and then you also get the ability to activate Theorem Arcanes. Now, Theorem Arcanes, as we read, are definitely some big shit, because if we go in here and look at the theorems, you can get, from the Contagion one, which, by the way, this is the best one, you can get globes that are just Nova's 1 that do 100 damage. but they give the enemy 200% damage type vulnerability. So they're going to do 300 damage the second time they hit an enemy. In testing, this cannot kill level 20 fucking enemies. And this is the best one. The other ones are the Theorem Demulcent, which is standing in a zone created by a residual arcane, increases weapon damage by 6% a second, stacking up to 15 times. Effect persists for 5 fucking seconds upon leaving the zone. So, let me paint a picture for you. You're going to use this arcane, you're going to shoot a guy, you're going to pew-pew him real good, and then it's not going to fucking proc the other arcane you need in order to use this one. And you're going to do... let's say you kill thousands of enemies. Eventually, you'll average out to 20% of those enemies having been able to give you the buff. And let's assume none of them fly away into the distance or fucking disintegrate. So there's always going to be a corpse there for you to use. That corpse falls to the ground. You're going to hope to God it's in a good spot for you to be sitting. And then you got to run up to it and stand in it. You got to stand perfectly fucking still in Warframe to acquire this 90% weapon damage buff, which is what this can stack up to, is 90%. So you take that, and then in that zone, you get that buff, and then you need to hope to God that from this position that you're in, you can shoot another guy from that position to get another proc on your other arcane to make another AoE, so you can keep getting this 90% weapon damage. And you got 5 seconds between zones, and the zones last for like 10 seconds. This is fucking dog shit. You need 31 arcanes collected to make any combination of the two sets work. And they're all bad. This one that I haven't even talked about is the worst of them all. Standing in a zone created by a residual arcane increases damage of companions and summoned allies within 90 meters for 6% a second, stacking up to 15 times. Effect persists for 5 seconds upon leaving the zone. You could add 6 zeros to every number here, and I probably still wouldn't be interested. Like, actually, all of the numbers. Make this 6 million%, make this 15 million times, and make it persist fucking infinitely. I don't care if you make this infinite. 5 million seconds. It basically just goes on forever. This is probably still a shit buff because companions and summoned allies buffing has never worked. Even if you actually made all the numbers this, it would still just be a meme. It would actually still just be a meme. Even if you're Necros, if you've got 20 guys with 10 million% damage, that's actually still just memes because they're inefficient at killing other enemies, even if they instant kill other enemies. So all of these new arcanes that are the thing that you would ostensibly farm from the inside vault bounties are dog shit. Like, I actually don't know how these arcanes are this shit. I actually don't know. There are so many examples of good arcanes that we use, and I know that DE can see the data on what actually gets used in Warframe in terms of arcanes. Like, they can see what the types of effects are that we value as players. They know. It is data that is at the fingertips that they could access at any time. But instead, we get garbage effects like this that aren't worth farming for at all. You can see the two arcanes that I'm using. I'm using Energize and Strike. I don't get it. I don't understand. I have no comprehension of why those arcanes are the way they are. It is the most ridiculous thing that those arcanes are like that, because they are the main draw of this update in terms of the reward that you're going to be trying to get from the new game mode stuff. Like, they're supposed to be the compelling draw to bring me into bounties, and I have no desire to farm them. As a person who is literally someone who is collecting all of the items in the game and collecting all of the mods and stuff, I have no desire to get those arcanes. There's such a high percentage of arcanes that do nothing already that I haven't even bothered to get those. I just get the good ones and ignore the rest because there's so many bad ones. So that's unfortunate. Any new Steel Path rewards? Yes, there's also new Steel Path stuff. So the new Steel Path stuff is a lot of hearsay from the dailies and stuff that it seems like we can see, which is here. These. So this is 3 per mission. From these, it has been basically worked out that you can get like 100-ish per week. which turns out is exactly enough to get an Umbral Forma from Teshin. Is that worth it to you? Do you need Umbral Forma? Yes or no? Is 100 of these a week going to be good for making sure people can get the kind of evergreen rewards, like the outfit for their operator, and also the ephemera and stuff from Teshin? Yes, people will actually be able to acquire that stuff. Good things. However, for the purposes of the people that were going to be farming Kuva and like relic packs and whatever else from the Steel Path, probably not nearly as good, because they were getting absolutely outlandish amounts of Steel Essence from the farms that existed there, and those don't exist anymore. So there's that. So yeah, the Steel Path stuff seems more accessible for like the vast majority of players, but less beneficial for people that are going hard in the paint on the Steel Path, which is like a thing. Kind of neither here nor there. There are positives and negatives there that could be argued for. But yeah. Yeah. There's like cool stuff in this update. Like there's some Warframe changes that are positive. There's a good chunk of weapons that I'm excited and want to use, like the Bibonico and the secondary that has the reload that's a bomb. Like there are things that I like, but there are some just once again just absolutely baffling decisions that don't make no sense. I hope it can be stuff that's changed before this update launches, but like if we're looking at this update coming out next week, I don't know if 6 Arcanes can be fixed, and like I don't know if like the fundamental nature of how this new Necromech works can be changed to be good either, because like no matter what they do, unless they change like the actual full ability of this Necromech of its like 3 and its 1, and honestly like the move set of its 4, I don't know how the Necromech can really be saved. Like my advice would be to use the other Necromech and kind of be like, whatever on this one. So like, yeah, it's tough. It's a rough one. Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Also a thing that has been figured out that I hope is not the case is that the Necromech can get to rank 30 without Forma, but if you put 5 Forma in it, it can get to rank 40. Which, just recently, there was talk on a podcast that they weren't going to be doing that again, but apparently we're doing that again, and that makes me really wonder what direction we're headed in for the Corpus Liches, because if the Corpus Liches come out with 10 more weapons, then goodbye to 50 more Forma for people that want to actually max those weapons out. And it's just really, really unfortunate. But yeah, that's a breakdown of the test server right now. Like, there's a reasonable amount of fun to be had, and if anyone watching this on YouTube wants to see everything that I did today, guess what? There's a stream archive channel, or it's archived on Twitch for the time being, so check that out. But yeah, it's rough. It's rough out here right now. It's rough out here. At the very least, I want the new weapon stuff. Well, some of it. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully they can like bring it more together. But like, yeah, the Warframe buffs, like the Warframes that needed the buffs, like got the shit end of the stick really. And yeah. It's tough times over here. At least this Necromech looks fucking awesome, though. We got that going for us. Anyway, that's the end of the YouTube video. I hope you guys on YouTube have enjoyed this. I stream all the time. Heads up on that one.